The weekly Industry Angel podcast hears from business leaders and entrepreneurs who share their stories and that all-important light bulb moment. This can inspire us all and maybe scratch that itch and kickstart that idea that keeps you awake at night. Welcome to episode 6 of the Industry Angel. I hope you found the stats of February interesting. Again, I can't thank you enough. Let me know if you think the monthly update's useful for you. And thanks for all your emails and guest suggestions. Please keep those coming in. I'll try and get us some shout outs in the next episodes. Today's guest joins us from the beautiful island of Malta. It's a place I must return. I've got some fond memories of a family holiday in Malta. I think that trip was probably the first time I actually travelled on a plane, back in the 80s. Back in the day when the rear of the plane was the smoking section. How things have changed, eh? Today's entrepreneur has a huge passion for artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data analytics. Let's hope he doesn't blow our minds too much. Welcome, Dr. Abdalla Kablan.
Hi, Ian. It's great to be talking to you.
Hi, Abdalla. How's the beautiful Mediterranean in March?
Oh, at the moment, it's fantastic. I mean, we've had the warmest winter on record, probably. It's been quite warm. It wasn't until recently that started to cool down a bit, but cold in here is 14 degrees, so it's still quite great compared to northern part of Europe. So we're happy.
Thanks for rubbing it in. The 14 degrees sounds great. So Abdalla, in terms of, before we go into, you have a software product, which we'll talk about later. But before that, obviously you're an academic, you've studied. Did you study as an undergraduate in Malta?
Yes. I've studied actually a Bachelor of Science in Information Technology, specialising in systems engineering, and I majored in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning.
Fantastic. So in terms of, I know you have a software product, is there a tech scene over in Malta? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we have a very solid tech scene. It's growing. I mean, in the past 10 years, Malta has witnessed rapid growth in the ICT industry, both on the academic level and on the commercial and industry level. I remember when I was a student, when I entered the university year 2000, which is 16 years ago. Gosh, I feel old. Just mentioned.
Tell me about it.
We were very few people joining the course. Now it's one of the busiest courses at the university. Also, we have a lot of multinational companies moving here and doing their development from Malta. So the scene is growing quite rapidly.
Excellent. And I know you came over to the UK. Did you do your doctorate over here?
Yes,
or your master's?
I did both my master's and my PhD in the UK. I must say it was a fantastic experience for me. I mean, throughout my academic career, I've always sought not the universities, but the professors who were at the university. So I was always inspired by certain individuals. And when I wanted to expand my studies and going more towards postgraduate degrees, I've chased the professors that I was inspired by during my undergrads. So I did a master's in financial engineering at the University of Bradford in West Yorkshire, where my mentor was Professor Simon Shepherd, who was an authority in cryptography and AI. And for my PhD, I did it at the University of Essex, a bit down south. And my mentors were Professor Dietmar Maringer and Professor Richard Olsen, who's an authority on high-frequency finance. So it was quite interesting for me and very interdisciplinary.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way of actually picking the university. I like that. That's a good takeaway for our listeners. Let's just dive in. I'm going to use these swear words, big data, Internet of Things. Bit of a buzzword, I think, sometimes overused. In the past, I've been involved in such projects. It was actually in the medical industry 20 years ago. I must have been about 12 then. But the nirvana we were looking for was a sort of single repository for data, such as when you go to the GP or radiology department or dentist, or even where one of those sports banned now, you can help make informed decisions and diagnose. A lot of us now are collecting data in terms of heart rates, BP, sleep patterns. Do you think the primary goal is to use data in such a way, or is it more for commercial gains in the private sector?
No, I mean, on a personal level, I am a true believer that we should use data and data science for the benefit of humanity, first and foremost, to come up with new ways and techniques that will make our life not only easier but more efficient, and help us solve problems that are of higher priority, such as in the medical field, to help us with the diagnosis of certain diseases and make it easier from detecting patterns in data that will help us trace and track certain elements in diseases and help us to come up with cures for them. So that always should be the priority. But then there's also the commercial element and commercial side of things. So if we are able to use techniques such as data acquisition, filtration, processing and extraction of patterns to actually come up with new systems that will help us commercially, such as in targeting customers or forecasting behavioral trends from our customers, then that should always be a good side effect. But the priority, I believe, should be in the research and development for systems that will just help us as human beings to survive.
No, that's really reassuring, and I hope that one day we get there. But you mentioned your background. Did you say sort of financial? Is that where you're?
I'll tell you a bit about myself. I mean, throughout my academic career, since my undergraduate, I've always been obsessed with data and analyzing data and extraction of valuable insights from data. So I was, for a lack of better analogy, I was addicted to data and how can I create systems that help us with our decision support and our decision making processes. And I studied BSc in machine learning and AI, so I was creating intelligent systems that are able to find these patterns within data. Then, because of my obsession with data, I decided to expand my horizons towards an industry that is quite rich in data. And back then, and still is, the financial industries is an industry that is quite rich with the amounts of data that you can gather, whether it's prices, volumes, amounts of volatility, liquidity, market depth. There's just so much data that you can extract and analyze and find these patterns. So my choice to migrate towards the financial industry was purely based on the fact that as a data scientist, I just need a very good data feed. That I can actually use the different systems that I'm creating, and financial industry was quite a good fit for me. But it's been a very good choice because I've learned a lot. Back in 2005, 2006, it was the early days of something that is called high frequency finance or high frequency trading, which is the area of being able to read the markets at very fast intervals of time and being able to make a decision whether to buy or sell quickly. However, in a way, we were using big data before big data became a buzzword, because high-frequency finance is nothing but financial data that has huge volumes, varieties, and velocities, which is the definition of big data today. So because of that background, it's now helping me in employing a lot of the techniques and systems and architectures that I've created in the past to other sectors, whether it's telecoms or social media or e-gov data or medical data. We've already managed to create a lot of systems in the financial industry that can solve problems within other industries, which is why I'm a very firm believer in interdisciplinarity. We should always be cross-discipline, and we should always learn from as many disciplines as possible, because the solution for a problem within one discipline, it could be the medical discipline, could be in a model that was already implemented in finance, for example, and vice versa.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point. I've got my mind, Abdalla, I've got you in front of many screens playing with stocks and shares.
to be honest, that's what we're trying to actually even eliminate, because coming back to the point of artificial intelligence is the area of creating intelligent systems or intelligent programs that can be autonomous enough in order to read data and make their own decision. And when you apply that to markets, you can create actually robot traders that are continuously reading market feeds through various sources, and they'll be able to take these decisions of buying and selling at very high speeds and high intervals, which is because of the physical limitation of humans. They cannot actually read 20 screens simultaneously at the same time, but a robot trader can actually do something like that. So I'm an advocate of actually creating these AI robot traders or AI systems in various facets of the industry to actually eliminate things such as human irrationality and fear and greed, which is what causes most of the mess most of the time.
Wow, that's pretty scary stuff. When I think of AI, Abdullah, I think of some military secret base in Groom Lake, Nevada, touching the boundaries of science fiction. Do you think we're at that point yet? Where do you think the most groundbreaking studies are being undertaken in AI?
This is a very, very good question. I mean, AI is being applied to various areas, from, like I said, finance to social media analysis to sentiment analysis to natural language processing to also military applications. As you know, those are very rich sectors and rich industries, and they can afford to do a lot of research and development. But as I said in the start of the podcast, I am usually the advocate of the side of the coin that says we should not really use such technologies in any way that would potentially harm any human being. We should use them to actually make our life better and to progress as human beings. But yes, in these industries, AI is being used quite heavily.
We won't find you on any of your secret projects just yet, and by the sounds of it.
No, I wouldn't want to.
So listen, Abdallah, I know you're an entrepreneur in terms of the tech space, and you've got a software product out there, and I'm really interested to know what it's all about. It's called Scheduit, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Could we jump onto that subject, Abdallah, and just let us know a little bit about that?
Definitely. I mean, Scheduit is a matchmaking app for business professionals that utilizes artificial intelligence and machine learning to make networking more efficient and more useful. I mean, it starts from the premise that a single meeting can literally change a person's life. I mean, you could meet a future co-founder or an investor or collaborator or even a huge client. Usually, business networking is the best way to meet all of these type of individuals. However, the most networking opportunities lie within those doors that are still closed, or lie within the relevant contacts that we have not met with yet, not within our first degree of separation, because those are people that we already know and we've already exhausted that relationships. Even though we live in the most connected time in human history, meeting the right people is still very difficult. Business networking is very time consuming and is also always left to chance. So if you're lucky, you meet with the right person. So we've tried to solve this problem with Scheduit, which, as I said, is a business-oriented matchmaking web and mobile app. Scheduit tries to help users to maximize the potential of their available time by linking them with like-minded professionals to help them grow their network, which is very simple. All the person has to do is to download the app, sign up to the app, allow us to do our, between inverted commas, magic. And that magic involves looking at your digital footprint, looking at your social media interactions, you looking at things that you've liked, things that you have posted. Obviously, only public information. We don't delve into any private information. But there's a lot of wealth of information about us online already, plus the information that we choose to supply. And from that, we start understanding more about the user, such as your network cloud says a lot about you. So if you're mostly interacting with entrepreneurs and with founders, then you are less likely to want to network with clerks, for example, and so on and so forth. So we start understanding the preference, but all that happens seamlessly and at a very, very fast pace in the background. And all the user has to do in Scheduit is just to announce their presence and say when they're available, and then Scheduit will pinpoint compatible contacts that are in the vicinity that are willing and able to meet. These contacts will get a notification that you're available, and if they are interested, they can request a meeting with you. And once both people agree to meet, that's when the conversation begins. Compatibility is actually key here, because we're trying to use AI and machine learning to try to make sure that every meeting on Scheduit is very efficient and very productive. And when I say machine learning, it means that we are actually learning from your behavior on the app. Because, for example, if we look at your LinkedIn profile, it's usually the information that you choose to supply, which is what we take on face value initially. But if you have indicated that you are interested in tech, for example. However, on Scheduit, you're more likely to interact with people from, let's say, fintech or financial technology or people from media, then Scheduit will recalibrate and start learning that, okay, this is the type of people that you're interested to interact with and not what we initially thought. So the more you use Scheduit, the more it learns from your behavior and from your patterns. And again, the ultimate goal is to just help you to network, grow your list of contacts that are relevant to you, and you never know, a potential opportunity may come, as I said, from those people that you didn't even know exist but are in the vicinity and are compatible with you. So we're helping people connect with the right contacts and hopefully grow the economy overall.
This sounds fantastic. I mean, I was at a conference yesterday in London, actually, and it was over 3 floors, and I'm seriously, I mean, none of the delegates were talking. It was listening to seminars, visiting exhibition stands, but with the building not having a central breakout area and being over 3 floors, it was so fragmented.
Yeah.
And I think we're missing a bit of a trick. I had 3 LinkedIn requests whilst I was there, and I think it's just people looking at your badge. You know, there was no sort of platform there.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, it's very interesting that you're mentioning conferences, because Scheduit is becoming particularly popular with conference organizers that are interested in using Scheduit during their conferences. A lot of conference organizers, since our launch, they started to realize that unlike custom-made conference apps, which usually get discarded the day the conference finishes, Scheduit was not really designed for conferences, which adds a lot of value, because Scheduit tries to connect people who are close to each other and are compatible and relevant. And there's no better scenario than a conference where we have people in a confined space that are really interested and looking to find the right people to talk to, but because of elements such as human behavior, people usually end up interacting and talking either to the ones that they already know, which is not really networking, it's just socializing, or we find a lot of people that are introverts. They'll be having coffee on the corner, hoping that someone will come and say hello, whilst everyone is much more braver behind the screen. So if you have an app where it shows you everyone who's around you and your compatibility rate with them, which we call the Schedumeter. So if the Schedumeter is saying that you're very compatible with that person, all you have to do is just to ping them, request a meeting, and if they accept that meeting request, that's when the conversation starts and begins. We're noticing an adoption rate of more than 80% at conferences that have used Scheduit as their official networking app. But the proposition for the conference organizers does not even stop there, because, as I mentioned, if conference organizers use a custom-made app just for the conference, usually at the end of the conference, that's it gets discarded or uninstalled. But since Scheduit is actually a networking and connectivity app, whether the person is in a conference or whether they are traveling or whether they're in a hotel lobby or in an airport business lounge, and they're interested in maximizing the potential of their available time by meeting with compatible business people, then people will still use Scheduit after the conference is over. So it does not stop there. So for the conference organizer, if they had 1,000 attendants at their conference this year, next year when they're organizing the conference again and they choose to use Scheduit a second time, then not only we will have the list of the 1,000 people that attended last year, but everyone else they met with throughout the course of their journey during that year, who are by definition compatible with the conference because they've met with people that have been at that conference the previous year. So it makes the reach of the organizer go up exponentially. Instead of inviting those 1,000 people, they will invite 5 or 6 or 7,000 people if everyone has met with 6 or 7 people on average within a year. And usually people meet with much more than that on Scheduit. So it's kind of a blessing that we have not initially created an app for conferences. We actually just created an app for networking and connectivity and business matchmaking. But as a side effect of that, we've realized how important it is for conferences. And so far, we've been quite successful. I'm very happy with it.
I just touched upon something interesting you said was flights, Abdalla. I mean, I've been on trade missions, and there's a lot of downtime when you're there. And, you've got some, appointments booked, but you're kind of waiting around quite a lot of time for them. And what I've often done is sort of try to find like-minded people and just, try to hook up on LinkedIn and ask for a coffee. And I guess it's hard for people to get signed off for maybe 3 days plus expenses just for 1 or 2 meetings. And something like this would be great for that.
Absolutely. I mean, the eureka moment for me actually to create Scheduit was during a business trip. I was traveling, and the way my flights were booked is that I could only go on a Monday. I had one meeting on Tuesday, and I could only fly back on Wednesday.
Sure.
I had the meeting on Tuesday in the morning, which nothing came out of anyway. I went back to the hotel room, and all I could do is either to code on my laptop or to watch the news. And then it hit me. I said, what if there was a platform where I could just announce my presence, and I find out who is around me that wants to fill their time by meeting relevant, compatible people that they don't know, like myself. I wanted to meet people that are in the vicinity that are compatible with me. And I was surprised that there weren't platforms like that. The problem with traditional social networks, such as LinkedIn, for example, or Facebook, you usually tend to add people that you've already met with. So it's usually someone that either is your friend in the case of Facebook, or on LinkedIn you've met someone at the conference and they've given you their card and you add them on LinkedIn afterwards. However, when you receive a message from someone you don't really know on LinkedIn, it's usually it's a bit strange. Whilst everyone on Scheduit is someone that is signed up willingly, that because they want to meet with those people that they don't know, that they are compatible and close to them. So business travel is actually one of the biggest segments that we are trying to cover, because like you rightly pointed out, I mean, you're traveling for business and you just want to get the maximum return on investment because you've paid for flights, you've paid for a hotel, and you might as well go back home having met 8 or 9 or 10 interesting people rather than just that 1 or 2 meetings that you had scheduled initially.
Definitely, you're going to have a lot of people nodding away while you were speaking there, I think, Abdalla. You mentioned the magic there, and my mind's spinning here. So you've got an API into LinkedIn, is it? Or is that
yes,
where you get your data from?
Yes, we get data from LinkedIn. However, it's not exclusive to LinkedIn. So if the user does not want to sign up using LinkedIn, we have a very quick and an efficient sign-up process that doesn't take more than 60 seconds. We ask the user some questions, but then the magic starts once you start using Scheduit, because as I said, we start identifying patterns, we start identifying your preferences, the different characteristics that you're exhibiting, the type of people that you want to meet or you request to meet with in Scheduit, and then we start understanding more about you. Like I said, it's like hiring a personal assistant. in the first week or two, he or she may not know much about you, but the more they work for you, the more they understand about you, and that's how we do it. If you sign up using LinkedIn, it becomes even easier because we get a lot of data that is quite useful for us. Our long-term plan is to actually create an artificially intelligent personal assistant that can assist you in your day-to-day business operations, from booking meetings to actually booking cabs that will take you to that meeting, to even help you hopefully booking your flights when you're traveling for business. So we have a very big vision, and we are pushing forward, again, always under the umbrella of AI, which I personally believe is the future. We truly believe here at Scheduleit that we're going to fulfill that mission.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And that extra functionality, is that going to be within Scheduit, or is that going to be another product you're going to take to market?
So it's always going to be within Scheduit. I mean, we'll have different add-ons to Scheduit, so people can choose to use Scheduit depending on their preferences. So Scheduit will assist you for how many things you wanted to assist you with, whether it's just connecting with the right people or also taking over in other aspects of your business interactions and business networking. I mean, one thing that we have slightly started researching here is also the use of virtual reality to recreate meeting rooms or boardrooms for individuals that want to actually meet with other people that are not in the same physical location as them. And we're trying to look at how we could implement that within the Scheduleit space. At the moment, we have Skype, we have many conference softwares that are brilliant and being used, but I truly believe that virtual reality will be the future, and the more you can create a realistic experience for the user, whether it's for a meeting or whether it's even watching a film in virtual reality, it will have a much more take up by the users. So I always say that our mission is to solve the fundamental predicament of the human experience, that is facilitating bringing compatible people together, people who are ready to collaborate with each other, to bring the right people together at the right time, at the right place, whether that place is in the real physical world or in the virtual reality space. So in a way, we're using artificial intelligence to stimulate economic growth, because we know that when compatible people meet, great things really happen, and it's a mission that we believe in, the sense that we want compatible people to meet, because if they meet, we will live in a better world by side effect.
That sounds really exciting, and I'm hoping to do a show on VR shortly. I mean, we touched upon VR, the AI, big data, and I hope that's a nice intro for our listeners. We didn't go too deep, we didn't blow their minds too much, but it sounds like you're doing some exciting stuff there, Abdalla.
Thank you so much, Ian. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to listening to all your other podcasts. They're all very interesting.
Oh, thank you very much. I tell you what it is, Abdalla, I know people are going to be interested in where we can find you. I'll put some links into the show notes, but if you give us an idea of where you are.
Definitely. I mean, first of all, you can find me on Scheduit. So if you go www.scheduit.com, you'll always see that I've announced my presence. Also, my email is ak@scheduit.com. My Twitter handle is @Dr. Kablan, DRKABLAN. And I am physically located between Malta and London, UK. So I hope to meet all the listeners soon.
Sure, yeah, it'd be good to meet you soon, Abdalla. Well, listen, thanks very much for that. I'll put all those links in the show notes, and hopefully we'll get you back on soon and see how you're getting on.
Thank you very much, Ian. All the best.
Thanks to Abdalla there. Abdalla scratched the surface on a number of subjects, and it was great to understand how he's put his skills to use with a commercial product such as Scheduit. I'm sure we'll hear more of the software in the coming months. I hope you found that interesting. As you know, I'm trying to keep the shows very diverse. Abdalla himself also mentioned that solutions can often be found and crossed over from other industries. I'm a big advocate in finding advice in places, books and interviews that you would least expect. Now, I'm not suggesting you get a book on beekeeping or something, although you never know. So until next time, I'm Ian Farrer, this is The Industry Angel, and thanks for listening.